everyone, welcome back to the Football Shirt Show, the channel that keeps you up to date with the latest and greatest football shirts. I'm here today to bring you another episode in the brand new series on this channel, Around the Ground. Of course, if you're unsure what I'm talking about, this is the series where every once in a while or so, alongside my shirt content, I'll visit a UK-based football club. I'll show you around the ground, I'll tell you a bit about the team, and if I get the chance to, I'll also speak to a member of staff ranging from the manager or a player to the kitman or a coach. And if said team are playing on the day I visit, I'll also bring you some clips of the game, the food and everything like that, to just bring you a general overview of what it's like to be at the ground on a match day. Now, as you can see, I'm here outside today of Silver Jubilee Park, home to Edgware Town Football Club, but they will be taking on local rivals Hadley FC in the extra preliminary round of the FA Cup in about an hour's time or so. But of course, before we do get inside, let's take a look at the club. Edgware Town Football Club was founded back in 1939, just before World War II. Of course, the war caused major disruption to the club's formation, but afterwards they played well in now-defunct leagues. In 1984, they joined the London Spartan League, the league that led on to the Spartan South Midlands League, and after a 14th place finish in their first season, they never finished outside the top half again, winning the league overall in 1988 and 1990. Life was good for this non-league football club until, all of a sudden, at the end of the 2007-08 season, the club became dormant due to a loss of their ground. But luckily, a small committee pushed for the club to be reformed, and back in 2013, Edgware Town was back. They currently play in the Combined Counties League, and their home games are played here at Silver Jubilee Park, which used to belong to Kingsbury Town Football Club. Let's take a look around. The ground is situated in the middle of a public park in Kingsbury, and has a capacity of 1,990. Even if it's raining as hard as it was today, there's no way you're getting wet, with every single stand, whether that's seated or standing, covered. And you've probably noticed already, but the ground is shared with Hendon. Inside, the changing room is decorated really nicely with different inspirational quotes on the walls. And inside the clubhouse, which has not only a bar but a kitchen, you can buy merchandise to show your support for the team, or look back at the team's history with different photos ranging from back in 1953 all the way up to the present on the wall. Every season, the club photographer puts together a book containing photos from throughout the season, which he kindly let us look at. And I found a really funny page where a couple of years ago, a match was abandoned after 13 minutes because a fan kept on moaning at the referee. Joining me now is first team manager Rack Hudson. So, being the manager of the first team, how would you describe the club as a whole?
The club? Local club, been around a long time, good history, had its ups and downs over the years, reformed recently after it lost its ground over in Edgware. Lots of good people here, and we're just in a new project at the moment, trying to build a new team. It's going to be like, it's a process that we're going through at the moment, so if we look at it over a period of time, we're kind of right at the beginning. Well, I mean, long term, yeah, it'll be 2 to 3 seasons that you'd look at the project, and the medium term will probably be the season, and then the short term will probably be the first 10 games. So we're just looking at the stage of where we are right now. So I've said to the boys, and I've said to people at the club, you know, we go into today's game of Hadley as underdogs for sure, and we can accept that because we're right at the beginning of our project. Yeah. But in a year's time, when we kind of get into that middle period of the time, I wouldn't want to go into too many games as underdogs. I feel like we should get to the stage where we can start going into games and, you know, we look like we might be the team that could win. So it just depends where we are. We have to accept where we are at the time. But I don't want to go into games as underdogs. I want to go into games as the team that's playing well and established and looks like they can win. But we can't do that right at the beginning. That's not realistic. So it's just where we are at the moment and where we want to be.
Awesome. And of course, as you can see up there, this ground is shared with Hendon as well. What is it like being the manager of a team that shares this ground? Does it disrupt how a club would usually work, do you think?
Well, we've got quite a unique situation, so it's not necessarily the same as a lot of clubs, because in a lot of clubs you'll have a club that owns the ground and then a ground share, like a tenant. And when you're the tenant, it's always harder than when you own the ground. But here, it's a little bit more even. Neither club, like on its own, owns the ground, but we're both kind of co-tenants. So it's not too bad. Yeah, we got on well with Hendon. I've got a history of Hendon myself, so I know a lot of the people at Hendon. So yeah, it can, in fact, it can be a help more than a hindrance if we work together, which we're hoping to do more in the future. So yeah.
Right, well, yeah, that does sound good then, because I was expecting it to maybe disrupt how you'd usually play or something like that, but yeah, obviously not. Of course, over the past 2 years now, really, hasn't it? We've been in the pandemic. How has it disrupted the grassroots football team?
Well, yeah, it's been massive because the professional game kept going without fans, but we didn't. So I've been here since November as manager, and we played 3 competitive games in the first 2 weeks. With players that weren't the players that I brought in, and then since then we haven't played any competitive games. So despite being here since November, this is like the first time we feel like we're actually having our own team together, ready to embark on a season. So yeah, it's just been stop-start and difficult and frustrating because friendlies are only enjoyable up to a point. Everyone wants to play competitive games and have that competitive sports brings. So we're just looking forward now to hopefully having a season that we can complete.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the players, it must have been difficult to keep them happy and fit when you play one game 1 month and you have to wait.
Yeah, I'd say the hardest thing is to build a team when you haven't got that something that you're aiming for, where you know there's a game coming. So that's why now, at least in pre-season, we knew that today was our first game, so we've had 5 weeks to prepare. Whereas before it was just sort of like playing games but with no real point. So yeah, it is hard to motivate them at that point, or to just build something really. Players want to play football, so they enjoy it and be motivated themselves, but as a team you need to progress. So that's been difficult, but now we've been able to start doing that.
Yeah, it must have been quite tricky. Well, like you just said, today's the first game of the season, FA Cup. How are you going to line up the team today, and how far do you think you can get in the competition?
Well, I just take it as one game at a time, always. We can't look past that, and the draw hasn't been kind to us in the terms of we've probably been given the strongest side we could have been given at this stage. Hadley are very, very good. I know them well. It just so happens that I know them very well. Good friends with the manager down there. So we know it's a tough task. So it'd be disrespectful and not helpful for me to look past Hadley at the moment. So we'll just look to win today and do our best. And if we manage that, then we'll look at the next round.
Alright, well now I'm joined by Rob, who is a first team player. So of course, you play for the team. What is it like to play for Edgware?
I mean, it's great. I mean, this is my first season signing for Edgware. It's been really fun. There's a lot of mix between young lads, sort of more experienced like myself, as being one of the older members of the team. But no, it's been really exciting. We've Rack himself produced a really exciting side, tries to play football in the right way. Obviously, a lot of non-league sides, they sort of go sort of long ball route, but no, Rack likes to play his way, and he's very adamant on playing his way, which is, for me, is really exciting. Because I like to get on the ball and play, so no, it's been really interesting.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. I mean, I'm looking forward to watching the game even more now, because like you said, long balls and things like that in non-league. But it sounds like quite a good sort of, what's the word, a good way to play.
Yeah.
Philosophy, that's the word.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. It's really enjoyable. I mean, I've been at football for 7 years before this through injuries, and obviously I played non-league before that, and it was all very much the same, long balls. You'd be very rarely played under a manager that liked to get the ball down and play. So I come training, I wasn't sure how my body was going to hold up, but as soon as I saw how Rat wanted to play, for me it was perfect. Because I like to get on the ball, I like watching teams play ball, chasing shadows all day, ain't for me, but no, it's perfect.
And was the knee injury you mentioned through football?
It was, yeah, it was in a game, and I had my first ACL, tried to come back a year later, ACL again, and then tried to come back again, and then done my meniscus, so yeah, it was a long route.
Well, of course, next season coming up very soon. Today is the first game of the season. What do you think you can do? Where do you think you'll finish in the league?
I mean, as in for the league, I think we've got a good chance of being up there. From what I've seen in pre-season so far, I mean, there'll be ups and downs. They said we've got a lot of young lads, so it will be a few inconsistencies. But I think once the season goes on, the first sort of 6 weeks, we'll get a good idea to see where we're at. But I think after that, once the boys start settling and getting a bit more experience under the belt, I think we'll challenge certainly in the top 6, I think. But again, I don't know much about the other sides. But from what I've seen from the boys so far and some of the teams we've played in pre-season at high level, I think we've got a good chance to be in the top 6.
Now, of course, past 2 years or so we've been in the pandemic. How hard has it been for a player where you may play a game one day, wait a couple months for your next one?
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating. I mean, trying to keep your fitness levels, your motivation levels up, it's so difficult. You don't know where you're at 1 minute. But I mean, it is what it is really, as long as people are safe, and that's the most important thing at the end of the day. But yeah, as a footballer, it's frustrating. You want to be playing all the time, but you've got to treat yourself taking over, and just like I said, hopefully this all passes soon and everything will be back to normal.
Finally, I also spoke with goalkeeper coach Osman. Is there, and if there is, what is the main difference between you and other coaches?
It is. It's just obviously just focuses on the attributes of a goalkeeper more consistently. You know, there's lots that it takes to make it as a goalkeeper. And those attributes are what I focus on. So where the players are outfield, they're more working on movement, passing, etc. I'd be focusing more on their footwork, their handling, their reaction. And yeah, so it's quite, what I like to say is the goalkeepers union, because normally when you're training with the goalkeepers, they're quite separate from the outfield players. So I like to think that we're building a nice little goalkeeper union, and we've got some really class players.
Well, thank you so much, guys. Now let's get back outside.
Come on, Edgware!
Eventually, after much anticipation, the game kicked off and Edgware got off to a great start. Early on, a free kick was awarded to Hadley, but luckily it was poorly placed and a counter-attack for the Wares started. A lovely long ball turned into a great pass, but a not so great shot sent the ball way over the stand and into the car park. Around 10 minutes later, there was a foul on an Edgware player, and there was a bit of confusion as to what was going to happen. But in the end, it was a yellow that was shown to the Hadley player. Later on in the first half, we saw another free kick, but this time for Edgware. But unfortunately, it was tipped over the bar. Later on in the first half, an Edgware player managed to get round the keeper, but placed the ball wide. For the first 45, at half-time, it was 0-0. Great start for the Wares. Is it nice? After a lovely hot dog, we were back out for the second half. And unfortunately, just 10 minutes into the action, Yemi Baremo, with a great long-range strike, gave Hadley the lead. Around 11 minutes later, passion just fizzled over the top of the glass, and there was a, let's say, short pause as the players decided to sort some things out between themselves. Unfortunately, in the 71st minute, Hadley did double their lead with a tap-in from Shaz Anwar. And just 4 minutes later, we conceded a penalty after a handball. And it was 3-0 to Hadley. And that was that for full time. 3-0 to Hadley FC.
Well,
there we go, full time here at Silver Jubilee Park, 3-0 to the visitors, Hadley Football Club. We go through to the next round of the FA Cup preliminary round. Of course, it was a great win for them, 2 fabulous goals and 1 lovely penalty spot kick. Unfortunately though, of course, the team I've supported today, Edgware Town, did get knocked out. But of course, like you heard Rack say at the beginning of the video, they are currently going through a process. 10 of the players who were starting today were all making their debuts, so in my opinion, I think they've done pretty well, and I believe all 3 of the goals came in the second half as well. So, for 45, 50 minutes or so, they did hold up pretty well against the visitors. Of course, thank you so much to everyone who did get this sorted out with me to do the interview, of the manager, Rack, Gary, who does all the media and communications, Rob, of course, the player I spoke to, is incredible, so thank you so much for that. But yeah, there we go, that does about wrap up today's video. So thank you everyone so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please make sure to like, subscribe, share and comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.